Oh, hey guys, welcome back to the homestead. Yeah, that's what I've been dealing with this week. Didn't get a video out last week. This has been, the last couple of weeks has been kind of crazy to say the least. But we had all that snow and ice a couple of weeks ago, right around Valentine's Day. And we had a hot water line break in the attic. Fortunately, it didn't cause a lot of damage to the house. I was able to cut the water off real quick and get that taken care of, but I had to get up in the attic and replace the entire hot water line, which you just saw some of the damage up there. So that was yeah, that was a challenge to say the least. Finally got all that finished up today, but you know, when you are off work for about a week because of the weather and stuff, your deadlines don't change just because you can't make it into work. So I spent this last weekend actually working just to kind of make up the time to get the particular project done that I was working on. So that's why we didn't get a video out this last week. So, but it's been one heck of a last couple of weeks, to say the least. Just a couple of quick things I wanted to kind of bring up. We're not going to do a full tour or anything like that. We'll save that for maybe next week or something. But a couple of things that I think I've learned, thought about anyway. One, now we were fortunate, we had gas cooking and we didn't have an electronic pilot light, so we were able to do our cooking on a gas stove and had no issues there. But if you happen to have electric cooking and your power went out and you couldn't do cooking, if you see those little cook stoves that caterers will use, they're like butane and they're rated for indoor use. Something like that would have worked out great in a situation like this. You could have done whatever cooking you needed to get done. So that was one thought that came to mind on all of this. Fortunately, that didn't affect us. We had plenty of food and everything in all the freezers and stuff, so you know, that was not an issue for us, but that is one possible solution going forward. One other thing that I was thinking of, earlier this summer, I had seen a few videos on people were calling, see if I can remember it right, the grand solar minimum, and that's supposed to be happening, you know, from 2020 up through 2030, give or take a few years in there. And it's basically a time range where the sun is going to be putting out fewer solar flares, and so it's going to have a little bit less heat coming our way, and so the planet's going to kind of cool off. Take that for what you will, whether you believe the science and all that or not, but just kind of take that as a nugget to put in the back of your head that this kind of weather, if something like that's actually taking place over the next 4 or 5 years, we could see some of this again. You know, especially here in Texas, it's like they call this once in a lifetime, once in every 100 years it gets this cold. But you know, we've had in my lifetime 3 separate, that I can think of right offhand in the DFW area, 3 events that have gotten down pretty cold. 1983. Now I think I came in, you know, just before New Year's in '83 because I was just getting out of Marine Corps boot camp. And I remember it being cold and having to do some stuff outside before I moved on to my next duty station. And then 1989, I wasn't here. The weatherman was saying they had an event in 1989. Obviously, we had the 2011 event that took place. Everybody remembers the Super Bowl and how badly we were shut down at that time. And now this is, you know, 10 years later, and we've had this event. So we're not, you know, it's not what's the word I'm looking for? It's not unreasonable to think that we're going to get some cold weather, and to get some pretty cold, you know, weather at any point in time. Any time from, you know, December. Actually, it's snowed on Thanksgiving because we've had the Cowboys playing in the snow at Texas Stadium before. So if you remember the Leon Lett game, that was back away. So we can get that kind of weather every now and then, and then this is one of those events in which it can come down and get really cold. So it's not out of the question. It's just we had a multitude of failures take place this time that caused a lot of people to be without power and be without services. We had, failures of the system, people not doing the proper preventive maintenance, people not doing the winterization of the equipment they were supposed to. We had the whole green power thing of, wind turbines actually freezing up, and those weren't able to be operated. So it was, and then people just didn't get their stuff done the way they were supposed to do. So this was a failure on multiple levels. And hopefully they'll get some of that fixed. But we as the consumer and the ones living through it have to prepare going forward. And so you need to start thinking about, well, you might sit back and say, well, it may be another 10 years before we get that. True, or it could happen next year. We could run into this same thing again next year. And so, we need to take the time now to go ahead and get our pipes, insulated if they're, have them inspected, make sure that they can go through this kind of a thing. Make sure you've got stuff in place so you can do cooking if your power goes out. If you're heating, if you're on electric heat and electricity goes out, how you can heat your house. So those are things you need to kind of start taking a look at now and investing in, whether that is, a generator to supply power to your house, whether that's, obviously here in North Texas, wood heating is really not an option too much here. That would be way more expensive than gas coming into the house. We don't have the same resources for wood that other parts of the country have, and that's just not very common here. But we got to think of other things and other ways to do it. So let's not get through this and say, Lord, I'm glad that event is over, and then forget about it. We need to prepare and think about going forward what we're going, what you're going to do in a future event. Because if this grand solar minimum thing is, a legit thing to worry about and to take into consideration, then over the next few years we could have this kind of event happen 2 or 3 more times, and you need to be prepared for it. So that's just kind of what I wanted to put out there. It's kind of what was on my mind. This was a pain in the butt, to say the least, event that took place. It is, I'm still trying to catch up on everything that needs to get done. Obviously the garden is going to be delayed, and I'm going to have to make some changes and stuff on that, and we'll address that going forward. I'm still trying to catch up at work too on my job. It's like, so I'm getting too old to pull all-nighters again. So this is not fun, but it is what it is, and we just got to start preparing for the best. I just kind of wanted to put that out there. So that's it from the homestead this week. God bless, have a great week, and we'll see you on the next video.